Are you looking to take your personal finances to the next level? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, with your host, Joseph Sangle.
Well, welcome to episode number
66
of the Monday Money Tip Podcast. My name is Joe Sangle, and I'm so fired up to be with you all again on this Monday. And that was the voice of my co-host, Megan Hibbard. Are you fired up today?
Yes.
I'm fired up. In fact, I have a Starbucks in my hand.
What it is?
But it is decaf
I
Americano.
was going to say, I bet it's an Americano, but
It's decaf. Can you believe it? So it is less fired up than it would be, but it would have been a raging inferno if it was caffeinated. And so for all of you who are listening, watching via YouTube, you're probably grateful that it is decaf because I can spontaneously combust. Anyhow.
You might have done laps around the building.
That was a moment. Yeah, I do laps. It's great. So today is October 7th. Can you believe it?
I love it.
It's the fourth quarter of the year. You know, it's the fourth quarter of football games. They kind of hold up four fingers. It's the fourth quarter. Fourth quarter's when people either win or lose the game.
It's true.
And so hopefully we can help people win with their money game in the fourth quarter. Sound good?
I think by the whole rest of the year, I love summer. And then after summer, I want fall. And then when fall hits, I'm like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. It's October.
Fall is my favorite season of the year.
It's beautiful.
It's deer hunting season.
Yes.
The leaves change colors. It is crisp nights, cool days.
Yep.
Fall football. And we get to talk about some fun money things, like making sure we position ourselves to succeed towards the end of the year. Don't go into debt for Christmas, things like that. And today we're going to talk about an awesome topic.
Yeah,
I'm
excited.
so fired up for this. Share everybody what we're going to talk about today.
Yes. So we're talking today about how to pay off your house. And not just how to pay it off, but how to pay it off early.
Yeah.
So our question for today is, how can I pay off my house early? We have a 30-year mortgage. We owe $200,000 at 4%, and we just bought the house 3 months ago. We would really like to pay it off as soon as possible. Within 10 years is our dream.
That's awesome.
That
That's a
dream
great
can
question.
become a reality.
That dream can become a reality. You can pay off a 30-year mortgage in 10 years or less. And so we're going to answer that question today. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I love this one. It's something that me and my bride were able to do. And I'm fired up to be able to help all of you listening to the podcast today be able to do that also. But before we do that, we're going to that amazing moment of the podcast. One of my favorite moments. We know what it is. Let's go.
Now it's time to get caught up with our current money events.
This portion of the podcast is sponsored by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not insurance page. On this page, you can find tons of helpful information relating to your financial journey. For more information about today's current events relating to insurance, be sure to visit the Next Steps insurance page at iwbnin.com.
That's awesome. And so the Next Steps insurance page, it really does have great information and ways to get quotes from multiple places without having to talk to anyone, which is awesome. So I encourage you to check that out there at iwasbrokenowimnot.com. For today's current money events section, woohoo! Do you like the woohoo?
I think you should keep the woohoo.
That was awesome. Woohoo!
It's Monday. You got to
that's
woohoo
great.
something.
Got to woo at something. And I want to talk about credit reports. Is that
Yes.
awesome? I'm going to talk about your credit report, Megan. It's going to be awesome. I've stolen your identity. Your Social Security number is 111111111, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's right. So that's Megan Hibbard's Social Security number. But here's something I want everybody to know. That federal law allows you to get a free copy of your credit report every year, every 12 months. And you get it from each credit reporting company, which the big three are Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. And it's very important that you do this because it helps ensure that the information connected with your name and identity is correct and up to date. Very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that you can do is the federal government in the United States allows you to get free, fair, and unfettered access. Did you like how I said that? Free, fair, and unfettered access to your credit report.
Yeah.
Now, notice I did not say credit score. I said credit report. So you get to see your report.
Right.
So the report was included in that. It's information about you, any loans you've acquired, any inquiries against your credit, but it's not going to tell you your credit score. It's going to tell you accounts in good standing, accounts that are in poor standing. Hopefully that doesn't exist, but a rumor has it a few people have accounts in poor standing. And it also allows you to see ones that have closed but were in good standing, all that sort of thing. And if you're in Canada, I'm going to include a link in the show notes to how you can obtain your credit report. through the cbc.ca website. So that's super important to think about as well, because we are an equal country servicer. Isn't
That's
that awesome?
right. You don't want to leave anybody
And
out.
we love all my Canadian friends. And if you're married, make sure you pull the credit report for each of you. There's two methods to approach this in this right now relevant current money events section. And one method is the all at once method. I am fired up. I'm going to pull up that credit report right now today. I'm going to get the Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion one and get them out. And what I do is I actually save the PDF copy of the credit report. That's what I do. And that's one approach. Just do it all at once. Set it and forget it. And here's what I know. That's a great method. But some people like to check their credit multiple times through the year. So another method is to say, hey, I'm going to check this one from Experian this month. 4 months later, I'm going to check the one from Equifax. 4 months later, I'm going to check the one from TransUnion. So every 4 months,
Yeah, that's great.
people are checking their credit. Again, if you're married, check both of yours. If you have a college student, you probably know their Social Security number. It might be helpful to check out their credit report to make sure they're not making dumb decisions in college with credit, which I have done as a college student. But here's the thing that I would say is whatever the method is that you choose, whether you do it all at once a year, or every 4 months, set a repeating reminder on your favorite calendar, whether it's iCal, Google Calendar, or anything of the like, to notify you to say, go to annualcreditreport.com or the website we provided, cbc.ca, on how to do that. And make sure you do this. 80% of credit reports have at least one error on them.
Oh, wow.
So you don't want that for you. Every credit report will show how to address any anomaly or issue. So make sure you do that. Have you checked your credit in the last year?
So I knew you were going to ask this question
Ooh.
because we were doing this podcast. And
We prepared for this?
I know ahead of time. Yes. So I actually went to do it, and I don't know if it's my name change. I mean, it's been 4 years, so I don't know. But it won't let me pull it. It says I have to call.
Okay.
So, or like provide more documentation of who I am. So, I mean, I've been who I am for a while.
Yeah.
31 years. And I've been who I am now for 4 years. We've been married for 4 years. So I need to call or email or whatever.
So that's a nuisance factor.
It is. It's annoying.
It's a very annoying.
I called Jordan yesterday and I was very annoyed.
Have him try to pull his too
Yeah, that's a good idea.
and see if the same thing happens.
Yeah.
That kind of helps you understand, is it due to the name change or to an address change?
Yeah.
So it will ask you questions that sometimes you're wondering whether or not you can answer them.
Well, it did ask me some of those questions, and I was like, none of these apply to me. So I got really worried. And that's
Yeah.
actually why I called Jordan, because I was like, somebody's stolen my identity. None of these questions apply to me. But
Then it didn't give you the credit report.
and then it didn't give me.
So maybe that's the case. So in an upcoming episode of the podcast, we're going to find out the end of the
Yes.
Megan Hibbard credit report
Yeah.
saga.
So I kind of hyperventilated a little bit yesterday.
Yeah.
My husband calmed me down,
I'm
as
sorry
every
about
good
that.
husband does. So,
Yeah.
but we shall call, even though it is a nuisance in our instant gratification culture, the last thing that I want to do is
Is
waste
wait.
my precious time
On a phone.
calling
So 1990s.
when they could tell me online. But it's okay.
There
I'm
we go.
going to step over my preferences and I'm going to do it. And then I'll let you know.
We will
the
cheer
verdict.
you on in the
Hopefully-
podcast audience.
Hopefully nobody's stolen my identity.
So I do want to give one other update, and that's a book update. Super excited about the book update. It is coming. It's going to happen before the end of the year, and we're going to call it a title called 2020 Money.
Yay!
Isn't that excited? So we're sharing this news with all of you podcast listeners. You're among the first to know what it's called, 2020 Money, and it's like 20/20, like perfect vision. But we're playing on the year 2020 as well.
That's right.
And helping you gain financial clarity for your money and for your life. And so super excited about that. Pretty soon, very soon, you're going to hear about how you can get pre-orders and get access to some special things we're preparing for anybody who does pre-order the book.
Yeah.
So we're super excited to bring that and really try to connect dreams to dollars. And so that's it for the Current Money events. Fired up.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, for our success story today, this story comes from Emily B. And Emily said, my family is working on paying down debts. We have money set aside, but we are not there yet. That's okay. We have had some unexpected medical expenses in the last several years. We just had some additional unexpected expenses. Lawnmower doesn't want to work. Family pet is racking up vet bills. Oh my gosh, I totally understand that. My husband just called with another unexpected expense and an additional upcoming expense. It is stressful. Here's what I did. 1, my answer to the news from hubby, okay, we will pay it and figure it out. 2, when the voices in my head says, we will never get there, remind myself that it's a long game. Celebrate and remind myself of the wins and stay the course. Keep head down and keep carving out forward progression. And that is from Emily.
And from Emily, that's incredible. I feel like there's several great lessons to learn from here. And this is why we included it as a success story is Emily is sharing what we call life, and life is happening. And I've noticed it shows up in clumps. I mean, is that true?
Yeah.
I mean, it just
When it
shows
rains,
up
it
in
pours.
clumps. Yeah, when it rains, it pours. All those different statements that we say, and we say them because it is reality.
Yeah.
And so they have unexpected expenses. The family pet had vet bills. The lawnmower chose not to work. You know, why doesn't it choose to do that in the winter
I
when the
feel
grass
like
is not growing?
this is my story because our lawnmower, Jordan has to like bang on it to get it to work.
Oh,
And I feel like Barkley is always racking up those pet bills.
there you go. Emily, is that your other name?
Maybe my pseudo name.
But here's what I know. It is a long game, and that money
Yeah.
is a journey, not just a moment. And recognizing that is over half the battle. Because when you recognize that and you remind yourself of the wins, that's what you must do to be able to persevere. That is how you persevere. And so, way to go, Emily. Keep that head down. Before you know it, you're going to be able to replace that lawnmower with cash,
Woohoo.
and it will work. And when it doesn't want to work in the future, you'll be able to replace it again. You know, things wear out. Just remind yourself of the wins you've had, and you're doing a great job. Thanks for sharing that update and that success story from Emily on Facebook.
On
Fired
Facebook.
up.
Yes. Okay, so now on to our featured question. So our question for today, just to remind you, is how can I pay off my house early? We have a 30-year mortgage. We owe $200,000 at 4%, and we just bought the house 3 months ago. We would really like to pay it off as soon as possible. Within 10 years is our dream.
So that's awesome. So a $200,000 mortgage at 4%, 30 years. The dream is to pay it off in 10 years. But first, what I did with this question is I took a look at the mortgage payment calculator located, guess where?
On the wildly popular website of iwasbrokenowimnot.com.
That's right. Click on tools, and you can use the mortgage payment calculator, and it says that their mortgage payment, the principal and interest payment, is $955 a month. And there's a simple answer to how to pay off your house earlier, and that is pay more than the monthly payment now. Doesn't that sound awesome? Does that
Sounds
seem simple?
revolutionary.
Revolutionary it is. And so there's several methods to do that. And so I just wanted to share some of these methods. One of the methods is pay a chunk now. Do you like that? The chunk now method. That's what she has on the screen here. If you're watching on YouTube, that's actually hilarious.
I like the
It's
word
the
chunk.
chunk
Yeah.
now. Pay a chunk now. And the second one is pay extra each month. And the third is use tax refund or a bonus to pay one extra payment each year to be 100% applied to principal. So let's break these down to the three methods. The chunk now method.
Yes.
Say that.
Chunk now method.
Yeah, I love. Isn't that a fun word to say?
I like the
chunk.
word chunk. Makes me think of a chocolate chunk cookie.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like we talked about that
Now
last
I'm
episode.
thinking about a chocolate chunk cookie
You're welcome.
from Chick-fil-A.
I know where we're
fired
going.
up. Woo!
We need to
See,
get.
we
one
should
day-
have that.
We should have them.
We should have chocolate
We
chunk
should have
cookies.
snacksies.
Yes, we should have snacks as part of the podcast.
I guess I have an orange.
So yeah, that's great. So we could pay $10,000 right now. Like let's say that's one what method. If we paid $10,000 extra on the house right now
That is a chunk.
and pay $955 a month the rest of the way, that would eliminate 33 months off the mortgage.
Wow.
3 months short of 3 years. That's a lot of money though.
That is a lot.
And it's hard to part ways with 10 grand. I mean, after all, that's like 100 portraits of like Ben Franklin. That's hard to part with Ben Franklin, especially 100 copies of him,
Yeah.
of that $100 bill. So that's one method, the chunk now method. It's not really my favorite. However, some people do this if they receive an inheritance or something like that. What I would tell you is I'm not a big fan of the chunk now method unless it pays off the debt.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes, hey, look, if you inherit $200,000 and you pay off your house, giddy up. That's a great decision. If it's $40,000, the $40,000 will disappear and you still have the payment.
Yeah.
And you have to get approval from somebody to get that money back out of your house. So I'm a much bigger fan of even just leaving it in savings until you can actually pay that thing off.
Yeah.
as far as the chunk now method.
Yeah. Maybe
Okay.
you're at the end though,
Yep.
and you can.
And
chunk
I will
it.
tell
Yeah.
you, that's how I ended up paying off my house. I got down to where I had an amount in savings. It was $60,000 I had been able to accrue, and I owed $60,000. And I decided I was going to pay it off. And then it took me 3 months to actually do it
Yeah.
because I was like, I know how hard it was to build up $60,000. I never had anything like that in my bank account. And I had to break up with the money. And it made me about cry,
Yeah.
but I was able to pay it off, get fired up. But being able to pay it off freed up all that money I was paying extra per month
Yeah.
on, and we were able to start rebuilding that savings and had no debt. It was awesome. Okay, the second one is the pay extra each month method. Pay extra each month. So I want to run some math. If you pay just $50 a month extra, it also eliminates 33 months. It accomplishes the same as paying $10,000 right now. But let me tell you, it feels a lot less painful than paying the $10,000. Do you agree?
Yeah.
So the payoff period is now 27.3 years and allows you to avoid $14,887. Now listen, how did I know that we avoided paying $14,887 in interest? Well, it's because I used an amazing tool. It's called the Early Payoff Calculator, and guess where it's located?
On our website. Don't worry, we'll include a link.
We'll include a link in the show notes. But this is a great calculator, but do not use it unless you want to be fired up. You know, just $50 extra a month on this $200,000 note eliminates 33 months and avoids paying $14,887 in interest. But what if you could pay $200 extra per month? Well, that eliminates 101 months. That is like more than 8 years. It now takes the payoff period to not 30 years, but to 21.6 years. And you avoid, get this, $44,898 in interest. Isn't that awesome?
That's a lot of
That's
interest.
a lot of money. And you're debt free like 9 years sooner almost. Now, what if you got really crazy? You paid off a car and you decided to use that money. You got the wrong number 7 of the ladder and you utilized that $500 extra a month towards the house. Well, that eliminates 175 months. That is 5 months short of 15 years. The payoff period is now 15.3 years, not 30 years, and you avoid paying $75,730 in interest. Get fired up. That's $500 extra a month. That requires sacrifice.
That's like half another house,
It's unbelievable.
at least in Anderson.
And in Anderson. And then what if you paid double payments? What if you paid $955 a month? And I know this is very difficult for many people, but I would ask you, think about it. What if you had no debt? What if you had no student loan payment, no car payment, no truck payment, no furniture payment? You didn't know mom and dad, no payments except for the house. Many people are paying more than $1,000 a month in those payments.
Yeah.
I was just at a car lot talking about a Yukon. And do you know how much a Yukon cost?
I would guess
And
a lot.
if you finance a Yukon, like it's like $1,000 a month. Like it's ridiculous how much money that is. And so think about that. If you can use that money to pay towards the house, $955 extra a month, another payment, a double payment a month. It eliminates 231 months, and the payoff period is now 10.8 years, close to the 10-year payoff, and it avoids $97,277 of interest. How awesome is that?
That is awesome.
And so the early payoff calculator is how I calculated all that stuff. It's really fast. You can do that. If you're listening, you have a home mortgage, you can run your numbers, and it's true to the interest. Like our debt freedom date, we don't really include interest in the calculation of the debt freedom date calculator. But because houses are such bigger numbers, we use interest, and it's absolutely correct to the penny on interest. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
So we said the chunk now method. We said the pay extra each month method. Let's talk about the pay an extra payment each year method. So some people get a bonus each year. Some people get a tax refund each year. What if you took an amount equal to the monthly payment, in this example, $955, and used that to pay towards the house? If you paid one extra payment at the end of the year, it eliminates exactly 4 years off the mortgage, 48 months. And it's now 26 years instead of 30 years to pay it off. And you avoid $21,459 of interest. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But what if you could make 2 extra payments a year?
Ooh.
Getting challenging. It's $1,910, right? 2 payments.
Yeah.
It eliminates 84 months. That's 7 years. The payoff period is now 23 years, and you avoid $36,971 of interest. So if you're looking at the methods that I love the most, Joe Sangel's preferred method, the Monday Money Tip Podcast special endorsed method of these three methods are the Chunk Now method, the Pay Extra per month method, and the Pay Extra payments each year method. Number one is Pay Extra each month method. That way it's systematized. You don't even feel the pain after a while. The second favorite is Pay an Extra payment each year. And my least favorite, although it can be effective, is the Chunk Now method. Let me give some extra tips. Maybe you could read the first tip to everybody.
Yes. All right. Our first extra tip is ensure all additional payments are being applied to the principal, not prepaid towards future payments.
Yeah, so this is super important. I remember
very
one time when
important,
I was on the broke part of my book. I was writing the broke part, the broke part. And I remember this guy, his name was Mike Coy, and he's passed on now. He was an older guy then. And he said, I'm so excited. I'm like 8 months ahead on payments. And I asked him what that meant. He said, if I pay the payment, then that is applied to that month's payment. And so I'm 8 months ahead. So I don't really have to make a payment for up to 8 months. And I realized that that's a method, is you can prepay payments. But what are you doing? You're really prepaying interest.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I looked at that is I said, I want to make sure that if I'm paying extra, it's going to principal reduction. While it's nice to say I don't have to make a payment for 8 months, it's much nicer to say I'm going to be debt-free 8 months sooner.
Right.
And so that's something super important. Another tip, read the next tip to everybody.
All right. Number 2, pay attention to your interest rates. They are great right now, but always be sure you have a great rate.
Okay, so this is super important because there's a good chance, podcast listeners, you're going to buy 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more houses in your lifetime. I mean, it seems crazy.
Wowzers.
You're probably going to buy a different house one day when you have your 9th child.
Oh, no.
But here's what I know, that interest rates, they vary. They change by the day.
Yeah.
And so you want to make sure you'll always have a great rate. So pay attention to them. If you financed a house over the last couple of years, there's a good chance that they're lower now than they were back then, unbelievably. So make sure you have a great rate. And the third tip, share that with everybody.
All right. Number 3, don't pay a lot extra until you've reached rung number 7 of the ladder. It's more important to go up the I Was Broke Now I'm Not ladder in order.
That's right. So if you have extra money right now that could be applied to your mortgage, but you still have no savings, you need to build the savings first.
Right.
Get that month's worth of savings and build it up to 3 months worth of expenses. If you still have other debts, student loan debt, car debt, truck debt, you owe a family member, somebody like that, it's very important to eliminate that debt earlier in life than the house debt. And so once you get to rung 7, though, then start piling on and use these different calculators, the early payoff calculator and the mortgage payment calculator, to make sure that you know exactly the impact that that's going to have on your life and paying off your house.
Yeah.
And so we have some helpful tools that we'll link in the show notes, so the early payoff calculator and that mortgage payment calculator. Check those out there at iwasbrokenowimnot.com.
Yeah,
And so we have a key quote for today.
we do.
Let's read it to everybody.
Okay, our key quote for today is when you have purchased a home with a mortgage, who really owns it, you or the bank?
Ooh. Think about that. When you have purchased a home with a mortgage, who really owns it? You or the bank?
The bank, until you get that stamp of you're paid.
So you get the deed sent to
Yeah.
you. It's unbelievable.
It's crazy.
So very, very important.
Yeah.
And I remember when I paid my house off and I logged in, they couldn't even spell the word paid off. It said PD off.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'd like to buy 2 vows, and I think I can afford them. Get fired up. Awesome.
Yep.
So we really want to encourage you guys. You can pay off your house early. And there's a great sense of accomplishment when you pay off your house early. It gives you this liberty. When you think about this, I want to set vision before we tell you about what's coming up in the next podcast. Get a vision for what life would look like if you had 0 debt, including the house payment. You know, many people have just paid the house payment. They don't ever think about it. They just live. 30 years go by. They've refinanced the house a couple times, and there's still 20 years left to pay. But think about what life would look like if you paid off your house early. Think about, Megan, you and Jordan being 40 years old and having no debt, including the house.
Yeah.
How much money would you need to really produce to succeed and prosper?
Not a
Think
whole
about
lot.
how much money would stick around.
Yeah.
And think about this. 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, will you make more money or less money than you do today? It's a good chance you'll make more money.
I hope so.
And yet your living costs are far less, sometimes up to half of what they are.
Yeah.
And that is when you position yourself to not only position your kids and your grandkids for the life that you never dreamed of, really, but you can bless the multitudes. You can live generously. You can live a life that's focused on others that you love and on the least of these. And that, I would tell you, is the life that is truly life. So I really encourage you, become debt-free, including your house, and go set the world on fire for your passions, whatever it is that you're passionate about.
Yep. Jordan and I are working on paying off our house right now. So we like the pay extra each month method.
There you go.
So that's what we do. Yeah. So, I mean, we are in our low 30s. I can still say low 30s. And it's something that we are doing and prioritizing. So you're never too young or too old to start doing it. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Are you a millennial?
I think so.
I think you are. But you're winning with money in a big way.
Yeah.
And you know what I learned? And this is a glimpse to an upcoming podcast and not the next one. Millennials are actually saving better than the last 2 or 3 generations before them. Pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Tell everybody about what's coming up next.
Yes. So our next episode, we're going to talk about great money apps. So if you love using technology to help you better manage your money, you're going to really enjoy the next Monday's episode. So make sure you tune in for that one.
Can't wait to talk about some apps.
Yep. Okay. So if you liked today's episode, please help us get this podcast to others who could benefit. You could do this by quickly rating our podcast and leaving us a review. These ratings and review will help us in making our podcast better for other listeners. And also don't forget, on the last Monday of the month, we're going to be answering your top money questions. So if you have a question that you would like answered, please email it to us. You can email it at info@iwbnin.com, and it could be featured on the podcast. You can also send it to us, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, snail mail, your preference. Also, if you implemented one of our tips, make sure you share that with us. We would love to feature your success story on the podcast, so you can send those to us as well.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I would just encourage you today. You've listened to this podcast, take action with it. Go to the website, pull up that early payoff calculator, and start inspiring yourself on what you could really accomplish over the next 5 to 10 years and become debt-free and go change the world around you. Get fired up. We'll see you next Monday.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And for more great content and to stay up to date, visit iwbnin.com. We'll catch you next time.